I got the questions here. Best. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome to all the devotees for this exclusive question answer session. I already have some questions from the previous session. You can post more questions on live chat and I'll try to answer as many as possible in the next 1 hour. The first question here, where is it situated? Who goes there and why? Pitrloka is one of the higher planets. Higher means better facilities than the earth planet. And Pitrloka is specially meant for the ancestors who go there if they have performed pious activities and they have done specifically their duties towards their ancestors. When we take birth in this material world, as human beings, we are indebted to 6 different categories of personalities. Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, Apta, Nrinam, Pitrunam. We are indebted to the Devatas, we are indebted to the Rishis, we are indebted to the general living entities, because we are taking service from them. Like the Devatas, they supply us, sun god is supplying us sunshine, moon god is supplying us moonshine, and fire god is supplying us fire. The wind god is supplying us wind, air for breathing. So like this, we are dependent on the Devatas, we are taking benefits from them, so we are indebted to them. So we have got certain duties towards all those whom we are indebted. Among them, there is one category of personalities called ancestors. Just like the family in which we take birth, we inherit so many things from our ancestors. Good values, good traditions, some wealth, some knowledge, some traditions like that. So we are indebted to them, even the ancestors. So there is a system of offering Shraddha, and that means food and water. Srila Prabhupada explains that in the Bhagavad Gita. In the system of Varnashrama institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical water and food to the forefathers of the family. This is called Shraddha. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. So this is a offering done by the descendants to the forefathers. And in this way, if one performs one's duties, one is eligible to be elevated to Pitrloka for enjoying better facilities or a higher grade of human life on that Pitrloka planet. Where is it situated? It's situated between the heavenly planets and the earth planet. Who goes there? Those who are becoming eligible by performing their duties towards their ancestors, especially the Shraddha ceremony. And why do they go there? Because they can enjoy better facilities, they have a higher standard of life. Whenever we quit our body based on our karma actions, what we have done in that life, and based on our desires, we are elevated or we are degraded or we remain in the same level. So to avoid rebirth is to become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. But otherwise one has to take birth again. And that birth can be a superior, inferior, or in the same grade, same level. Next question. How the Lord, being the Supreme Lord, enjoys the karmis or the non-devotees? Now, the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord is not like our enjoyment. Please don't think that the Lord is enjoying like us. No. The Lord's enjoyment is based on the loving relationship He has with each of the part and parcel living being. And because He is the unlimited Lord, He is having unlimited relationships with unlimited living beings, part and parcel. So, if some particular living beings are not Krishna conscious, then they are not rendering devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So then the question may be raised, how is the Lord enjoying when they are not engaged in serving? Now, the Lord's enjoyment is not that somebody is offering Him something and He is in need and therefore He is getting that and therefore He is happy or He is enjoying that. No, it's not like that. Lord's pleasure or enjoyment is the loving reciprocation the Lord has with His devotees. That is the enjoyment of the Lord. And He is not dependent on the living entities for this. It is in the interest of the living being who can actually experience that transcendental bliss only when the Lord reciprocates with the living being, when the living being renders devotional service. So, why does Krishna actually receive devotional service and reciprocate with any living being? It is for the living entity's benefit. Because Krishna Himself, He is full in Himself. Atma Rama, He is self-satisfied. He has got His internal potency, which is engaged in serving Him for His own pleasure. So He is not dependent on anyone else, any other living being. But the living beings are dependent on Krishna. So, if some person is not engaged in serving Krishna, that person is deprived of the spiritual bliss which is constitutional to them in their loving relationship with Krishna, rendering service to Krishna, loving devotional service. So, Krishna feels sorry for such living entities who are forgetful of Krishna, who are not engaged in devotional service, who are entangled in the material world in material activities. Krishna feels sorry for them. And for such living entities, Krishna has made elaborate arrangements how to reclaim them from this material world. So He personally comes in the form of incarnation. He speaks the message of Bhagavad Gita. He teaches through the scriptural directions, injunctions. He sends His pure devotee representatives, Prabhupada. He sends Prabhupada and the Acharyas time to time to preach this message, to enlighten the lost living entities, like that. Krishna has made elaborate arrangements to reclaim this conditioned souls. Next question. Usually determination becomes weak due to excessive sex life, but I see some people are not attached to sex life and their determination is still weak. How to understand? Now, the determination becoming weak, there can be many different factors. One of the factors is excessive sex life that definitely weakens a person's determination. But there are other factors also. Anybody who is materialistic, is engaged in material pursuits, they cannot have a stable mind, cannot have a steady mind. Their mind will always be a very big obstacle because they'll always be full of anxiety. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam that says, Sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. Anybody who has accepted this material existence, their mind will be always filled with anxiety. So how can they have determination when they are full of anxiety? Never possible. So like this, there are many different reasons why somebody's determination is weak. Sex is not the only reason. Next question. Can Hanuman be accepted as an incarnation of Shiva? Now, there is no question of accepting or not accepting. Whatever the scriptures say. I do not know of scriptural statements which say that Hanuman is incarnation of Shiva. But we definitely know from the scriptures, Hanuman is the pure devotee of Lord Ramachandra, eternal servant and pure devotee and very intimate associate of Lord Ramachandra. He is always engaged in service of Lord Ramachandra. So when the Lord incarnates, some of his eternal associates also come with him. Hanuman is such an associate. So Hanuman is definitely a pure devotee, eternal associate of Lord Ramachandra, very intimately engaged in rendering service in Dasya Rasa. He is the best example of devotee performing Dasya Bhakti. As a servant, he serves Lord Ramachandra. The best service he gives. He is among the topmost devotees of Lord Ramachandra. Next question. Where does Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojana fit in the journey of going back to Godhead? Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in all the Vedic literature, the three main subjects which are discussed are what is called as Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana. What is Sambandha? Sambandha means we should understand by studying the Vedas, by practicing a devotional service, we should understand that we have a very specific relationship, personal relationship, loving relationship with Krishna. Each one of us, every living being, being a part and parcel of Krishna, every living being has got a very specific relationship with Krishna. That is called Sambandha Gyan. So when we begin devotional service, we are instructed to accept a bona fide spiritual master under whose guidance we properly practice. And the spiritual master will guide us to come to the stage where we inquire about what is my specific relationship with Krishna. In the beginning, the devotional service we do is general devotional service in terms of chanting Hare Krishna, hearing the holy name, hearing the Bhagavatam, worshipping the deity or participating in the worship of the deity, bowing down to Krishna or deity of Krishna or picture of Krishna, accepting prasadam. These are the common instructions for all beginners in devotional service. But as we make progress, then we come to a stage where we are purified of our material contamination in our heart, and then in the purified state, we naturally inquire, what is my specific relationship with Krishna? Because on understanding and knowing that relationship, I can render service to Krishna in that relationship, specific to that relationship. Just like Mother Yashoda, she is a pure devotee of Krishna, eternal devotee of Krishna. Now what is the specific service Mother Yashoda is doing? She is serving Krishna as Krishna's mother. Krishna is her beloved child. Now, we should always remember Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't require any care by any devotee as mother, because it's not his position to be a child as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in order to accept the service of Mother Yashoda, of his devotees, Krishna agrees to become the son of Mother Yashoda. And he is eternally so, because Yashoda is eternally serving Krishna in that relationship. And Krishna relishes that seva. He accepts it. And he reciprocates by giving Mother Yashoda so much of joy, so much of love, so much of everything. So that is called Sambandha, the specific relationship each one of us has got with Krishna. And in our forgetfulness, we do not know who is Krishna. When we come to know of Krishna and we are purified of all material contamination, we no longer have any material conception of Krishna or ourselves. In that state, we inquire from the spiritual master, what is my specific relationship with Krishna? The spiritual master reveals at that time. So we cannot ask now, in our present conditioned state, we cannot ask. Neither if the spiritual master who knows it reveals it, will it make any sense to us. It will not make any sense to us. So better we practice sadhana bhakti, the standard rules, regulations, and we purify our heart, and then we become established in the platform of pure devotional service. Then we inquire from the spiritual master, what is my relationship? That's called Sambandha. Abhidheya means to render service in that relationship. Specific service in the specific relationship. So when I come to know, after I become purified from my spiritual master, I come to know what is my relationship with Krishna, then I have to inquire from my spiritual master how to render service to Krishna in that relationship. So there will be specific instructions given by the Guru as to service in that relationship. Just like somebody, to give you an example, if somebody joins some particular organization as a manager, then he has to receive specific instructions, directions of his duties or his responsibility as a manager from his boss, from his authority, from his superior. Like that. When we become purified, then we have to receive specific instructions about our relationship and how to act in that relationship. How to act. And that is called Abhidheya. And when we do service in that relationship, then there is something called Prayojana. Prayojana is the ultimate result to be obtained from understanding our relationship and acting in that relationship or serving in that relationship. That is love of Godhead. Krishna Prema, that's the Prayojana. So we attain Krishna Prema. So where does it fit in the journey of going back to Godhead? We have to make progress by following the standard rules, regulations, principles, purify the heart, and then in the purified state, we come to know about Sambandha, and then we act in that relationship according to the directions and instructions of spiritual master. And then when we perform devotional service in that way, then we attain, by perfecting that service, we attain Krishna Prema, and we are fit to go to Krishna Loka, and actually in the association of Krishna, we actually render service to Krishna and relish that relationship of love with Krishna in that particular specific relationship we have. Next question. In Vedas, is polygamy allowed? Yes. In the Vedas it is said, in the Dharma Shastra specifically, which is this section of the Vedas which describes how to follow the Vedic injunctions and what are the rules and regulations in following the Vedic injunctions. So it is said for Grihasthas that among the members of the community, if there are lesser women than men, the female population generally, Srila Prabhupada says, is more than the male population. In such a case, one man may marry more than one woman, provided he is able to support and also give instructions and help that soul to actually advance in Krishna consciousness under the proper protection, guidance, direction of the husband. The wife has to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So then one is able to, and there is a need, two factors. One is able to give protection to more than one woman as a grihastha, and there is also a need because there are less men than women. The female population is less. In such cases, under the direction of a qualified Brahmana, one should actually, one may marry more than one woman and actually carry out the duties. It's not for enjoying multiple partners. No, that is not the idea here, polygamy. It is actually for giving protection and for helping another soul to actually advance in Krishna consciousness under proper guidance and protection. That is the whole scheme. Next question. When should we use neem beads and when should we use tulasi beads? Actually, we should use tulasi beads for chanting. And if we are serious about chanting, we should use tulasi beads. But when we are contaminated and we still have to chant or want to chant, then we are not prohibited from chanting, but we can chant on neem beads. So we can chant on neem beads. But tulasi beads we should not touch when we are in a contaminated state. The respect we show to tulasi is that we don't touch tulasi beads when we are contaminated. Typically it happens when we are traveling that we may not be able to take bath appropriately while we are traveling. Then does it mean that we should stop chanting completely? No. We should not stop chanting. So we may chant while counting on neem beads instead of tulasi beads. Next question. Can you suggest some austerities to be taken up during Chaturmasya which will help in making rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness? Actually, according to scriptures, there are a lot of different recommendations for austerity, extra austerities in Chaturmasya, apart from the regular austerities we take up in Krishna consciousness and other times. So, it is not practical for us to follow most of those recommendations, except one specific austerity we have to take is abstain from one specific item in taking prasadam. In the first month of Chaturmasya, we abstain from green leafy vegetables. In second month of Chaturmasya, we abstain from curds or yogurt. Third Chaturmasya month, we refrain from milk, just like the present time is the third Chaturmasya month that is going on. And the fourth Chaturmasya month, we abstain from urad dal. So these are the very, very basic or simplified austerities we are recommended to do by Srila Prabhupada. Specifically, Prabhupada has mentioned this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, it doesn't mean that these are the only austerities we take up. During the time of Chaturmasya, the spirit is to minimize sense gratification and to increase devotional activities. Replace as many material activities with spiritual activities as possible. So that way, one can actually make rapid advancement. And this is the recommendation also in the scriptures. Even on Ekadashi day, Prabhupada says more important than fasting on Ekadashi is actually increasing our devotional activities while minimizing sense gratification. Prabhupada says this is the spirit of observing Ekadashi or any vrata, including Chaturmasya vrata. The next question, if Brahma, Shri, Rudra and Kumara, the four Vaishnava Sampradayas have their respective acharyas, where does Gaudiya Sampradaya come from? Is it the fifth Sampradaya? No. Gaudiya Sampradaya is actually in the Brahma Sampradaya. To help you understand how it is within the Brahma Sampradaya, Brahma is having many disciples, not one disciple. So in our line of disciplic succession, Brahma's disciple Narada is whom we follow. Now Narada's disciple Vyasa, Vyasa's disciple Madhvacharya. Like that, Madhvacharya's disciples coming down up to Lakshmipati Tirtha. Because Madhvacharya has many disciples, not just one disciple. So they have different lines of disciplic succession. So we have one Lakshmipati Tirtha. He accepted as his disciple one Madhavendra Puri, a Vaishnava from Bengal. Gaudiya means belonging to Bengal. Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Bengali Vaishnava Sampradaya. To put it in another easy way to understand. So Srila Madhavendra Puri accepted Diksha from Lakshmipati Tirtha, who was in the Madhva Sampradaya. So that is our connection. We say our Sampradaya is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So after Madhavendra Puri, all the Vaishnavas are following this line of Bengali Vaishnavas. But that doesn't mean only it is restricted to those born in Bengal or those who are calling themselves Bengalis. No, it's not restricted to them. Anyone can become a Vaishnava simply by agreeing to surrender to a bona fide Vaishnava spiritual master and taking instructions and following them, any part of the world. It's not limited to only Bengalis. But it is called like that because the lineage was mostly in Bengal. The spiritual masters in succession were in Bengal. During Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself appeared in Bengal. And his followers and descendants and disciples were all from Bengal in those days. Though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled all over India and preached everywhere, he also had disciples and followers in other parts of India. But the acharyas are appearing in Bengal and they are practicing and preaching in Bengal, so it become known as Gaudiya Sampradaya. Next question. Krishna has given the chanting of Hare Krishna mahamantra as the most auspicious, divine and powerful weapon. Even then, during the housewarming ceremony or other occasion, why do you perform homas? Now our tradition, Vedic culture, we have certain rituals recommended for certain occasions. Now all these rituals involve worship of Vishnu only. In any sacrifice, yajna, fire sacrifice, Vishnu is the chief beneficiary. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. This is the 9th chapter. I'll just read the translation from the Gita itself of this verse. 24th verse in the 9th chapter. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvenatas chavanti. The meaning is, Krishna is telling, I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Very important. So, any homa performed for any occasion, who is the chief enjoyer? It is Krishna. It is offered to Krishna. It is an offering to Krishna. Oblation offered to Krishna. So that is non-different from chanting Hare Krishna. Please remember this. But in Kali Yuga, it is not always possible to organize a proper ingredients or a qualified brahmana or make arrangements for doing such homas. It is not always possible. Some people are still able to get proper priest, proper brahmana, qualified brahmana to do it. But everybody cannot do it. So therefore, in place of such homas, the scriptures recommend perform Sankirtan Yajna, chanting of Hare Krishna. That will make everything perfect. So chanting of Hare Krishna is universal. It is most recommended. It is especially recommended when one is not able to do the specific homa or the specific ritual which is recommended in the scriptures traditionally. Next question. What happens to spirits who do bhakti and also want material enjoyment? Do such spirits wander in Pitrloka, Maharloka or Tapoloka? Can such spirits fall down to lower planetaries like Nagaloka by their will? Now, we should remember always that every living being in this material world who is a created being is always controlled. Including Brahma, the topmost Devata, even he is controlled. So everybody is controlled by the Supreme Lord. But there is a hierarchy of such control. The Supreme Lord gives some controlling power to some Devatas. Devatas in turn have got their subordinates who have got even a lesser power. So there is a hierarchy. Now, those who are in subtle body, they are ghosts. So they also can do bhakti, provided they are fortunate enough to get instructions from pure devotees like Narada, Shiva, especially Lord Shiva. Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavas. So even he is engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness, and he has got as his followers some of the most sinful beings, especially ghosts and ghostly characters, and different categories of ghostly beings are there. So such ghosts, if they associate with Shiva, and Shiva gives them some devotional instructions to practice devotional service, and if they do that, then they become purified of their sinful reactions. Now what happens if somebody is doing bhakti and also engaging in material sense gratification? That material sense gratification is always a tendency that is carried forward from the previous habits, previous life, purvashram. So that may not immediately stop. Though if the devotee is practicing bhakti tries to stop that by
sincerely, seriously following the principles of sadhana bhakti and praying to the Supreme Lord, then that habit will go away. But if it remains, then that person has to take birth again till the particular soul realizes that this sense gratification is against my self-interest, will not help me to progress in bhakti. One will not give up. So one has to eventually give up. Then only one can make further progress. Now, about spirits wandering in different places, that is as far as they can be allowed to go to different places. It is not that everybody simply wanders everywhere. No. There is restriction. Stringent laws are there working, which restricts them. So when they are restricted, they can only go where they are allowed. But that doesn't mean they have got any special powers because of that. No. They are sinful entities. So they don't have any powers like that. Can such spirits fall down to lower planetary systems like Nagaloka by their will? No. It is going to lower planetary systems, it's not exactly a fall down. That somebody willingly or voluntarily or purposefully falls down. No, it's not like that. We are controlled. Please understand, our next body is decided by higher authorities. Whether it going to lower planets or going to hell or going to heaven or getting out of this material existence or going to Brahmaloka, remaining on the earth planet, taking birth in a particular family, everything is controlled by higher authorities. We don't make a choice. Nobody makes a choice. Nobody is able to make a choice. Everybody is controlled. So it is by control that one is able to get a specific birth in a specific place, in a specific family, in a specific type of body, completely controlled. Completely controlled. Next question. During menstruation, should women avoid reading scriptures and watering and worshipping tulasi? There is no restriction in reading scriptures. There is no restriction in chanting Hare Krishna. There is no restriction in performing kirtan. But there is restriction in watering and worshipping tulasi. One should not worship and water tulasi. One should not worship deities or pictures of deities during this period. Next question. How should we celebrate our birthdays? Can we offer food to Krishna's photo or only to deity? Now, celebrating birthday is not exactly recommended in the scriptures. This celebrating birthday is more a social event. Actually, we observe the birthday of the spiritual master as Vyas Puja, the birth anniversary of Lord Krishna in this world as Janmashtami, like that. We don't observe our birthdays if we are serious devotees. Next question. It was said one who leaves the body from the Brahmarandhra can travel to any planet including Vaikuntha and Goloka. Can spirits in Vaikuntha get entangled back in the 14 planetaries if they want to enjoy materially? Now, what do you mean by spirit? Do you mean somebody who has a subtle body without a gross body? If that is the meaning, then such ghostly characters cannot enter, cannot get out of the material world, cannot even go to higher planets. They have to remain in the middle planets or the lower, they have to be in lower planets. So there is no question of such spirits in Vaikuntha. There is no spirit in Vaikuntha. Next question. What if I perform my work remembering Krishna? Is it karma yoga or bhakti yoga? Performing work remembering Krishna is same as working in Krishna consciousness, doing our material duties in Krishna consciousness. So material duties done in Krishna consciousness is karma yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, one is not having any material duties to perform. Or even if one has some obligatory duties towards family members, when that is such duties are performed in Krishna consciousness in Bhakti Yoga, then it is not any material activity, it is also spiritual activity. Just like a mother takes care of a child. Now, if the mother is a devotee, taking care of the child can be done in Krishna consciousness as a devotee. So the mother will feed the child not simply ordinary food but prasada. And that is not a material activity, it is a spiritual, it is a devotional service. The mother will teach the child Krishna consciousness. That is a devotional activity. The mother will raise the child as a devotee. That is Krishna conscious activity. So nothing the mother does will be material. It will all be spiritual. Like that. Next question. Outside the exhibition of his different potencies, absolute truth is not complete. I don't understand this statement. Outside the exhibition of his different potencies, absolute truth is not complete. Absolute truth is always the Supreme Lord with his potencies. We cannot separate the Lord from his potencies or the potencies from the Lord. The two cannot be separated. So therefore, there is no question of outside exhibition of his potencies. There is nothing like that. He exhibits his potencies and therefore he is always present wherever his potencies are. Or where the potencies are present, there he is present because it is his potency and he is only the controller, he is the enjoyer, he is the maintainer, he is the owner, proprietor, everything. So he is never absent actually. Next question. Why did Krishna support the karma mimamsa philosophy? Now Krishna, if you are referring to the Govardhan Leela, Krishna does not support karma mimamsa philosophy, but he speaks that as a part of his Leela, Govardhan Leela, just to perform that Leela where he convinces the cowherd men to stop worship of Indra and instead worship Govardhan and worship the Brahmanas and the cows, worship the devotees. So this is a Leela of Krishna. It is not that Krishna supports karma mimamsa philosophy. Krishna does not support. Next question. What is the procedure of breakfast for Ekadashi fast on the next day? Srila Prabhupada has given us a very simple procedure. What is that? During Ekadashi we fast from grains. So on the next day after sunrise we break the fast by honoring grain prasadam. Simple procedure Srila Prabhupada has given. Next question. Can we offer Krishna non-Vaishnava cooked food? Example, sweets brought from outside, because it's not always possible for me to get it from ISKCON. Krishna can be offered specific items which are pure vegetarian items. Okay. Now something cooked by a non-devotee cannot be offered to Krishna because Krishna does not accept the item. Krishna is accepting only the devotion. So if it is devoid of devotion, then there is nothing that Krishna can accept in that. You should always remember, if I offer a sweet that I have cooked, now what is it that I am offering? Through the medium of the sweet, I am offering Krishna my devotion. And what does Krishna take? He takes the devotion. And what does he return to us? Again, through the medium of the sweet, Krishna returns his love. So, the sweet by itself is neither something which is suitable for offering to Krishna, nor something we get back after we make the offering to Krishna. No. The prasadam is not the sweet. It is through the sweet we are getting Krishna's mercy. And it is through the sweet, while we are offering our devotion to Krishna. So please understand this point. So if a non-devotee has cooked something, you cannot offer that to Krishna because there is no bhakti in it. So what can you offer? There is nothing to offer them. Next question. I want to rigidly avoid the association of non-devotees because I forget Krishna, but I get deviated easily. How should I renounce all material association and limit my interaction? Now, anybody in any situation outside world has to interact with people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. So such interaction should be kept to the minimum by only speaking or dealing as minimum as required for your duties, responsibilities, for your maintenance of the family, etc., etc. Only that much, not more. Just like, let us say, example, you go to buy some vegetable from a vegetable vendor. Now, if that vegetable vendor is a devotee, then you may talk to that vegetable vendor about Krishna consciousness, or you may inquire about that the devotee's chanting or whatever, in addition to inquiring about the price of the vegetable or buying vegetable, etc. But if that person is a non-devotee, then you only deal to the extent of inquiring about the price and purchasing and paying the requisite amount. That's all. Finished, over. Nothing more. No further discussion, no other discussions, no other talks, no other interactions. That is very important. Like that, specifically with others who are not devotees, your interaction has to be only limited to the necessary duty to be performed or the particular obligation to be fulfilled. That's all. Next question. One of my family members says, you follow those who are women hunters. Please help me to deal with this person. Now, if in your family they have a misunderstanding that some of the followers of ISKCON are not of a proper character, then that doesn't mean that entirely ISKCON has to be rejected by others. So you have to explain that ISKCON stands for pure devotional service. ISKCON is preaching pure devotional service. But among the followers there may be some who may not be of ideal character. That doesn't mean ISKCON is to be condemned. The institution is not to be condemned. And you are not actually dealing with such people who are not of ideal character. You are dealing with people who are seriously practicing, properly following and setting the right example. So therefore you are not actually at fault, as somebody else may wrongly think. So you have to help here, give clarification to your family members that you are having the ideal, the spiritual master, the acharya, as the real guide. But since he is physically not present, you are approaching somebody who is his representative to hear those same instructions and understand practically how to follow from Prabhupada only through his representatives. Some practical things you may try to follow or try to inquire and understand. That's all. It's not anything more than that you are interacting and dealing with the devotees in ISKCON. Why in the Nectar of Devotion the qualities of Krishna are said to be 64 if he is unlimited? The Nectar of Devotion is talking about the comparison between Krishna and Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma and the living entities in general in this material world. Nectar of Devotion is comparing the qualities of all these personalities. So in comparing, the comparison is made that Krishna has specifically got 64 qualities to an unlimited degree or unlimited quantity. Krishna has 64 specific qualities. Out of these 64 specific qualities, 4 qualities are exclusively to be found only in Krishna and not in anybody else, not even in Lord Vishnu or Narayana. So to explain that point, it is mentioned, the 64 number is mentioned. The living entities have a small number of qualities in a very, 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 very small quantity. Minuscule quantity. So when you say Krishna is unlimited, he has got unlimited good qualities to an unlimited quantity of an unlimited quantity or to an unlimited extent. That is unlimited Krishna. But out of those unlimited qualities he has 64 specific qualities are mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion as Krishna's qualities, which are possessed by Krishna to an unlimited degree, and 4 of them nobody else has, only Krishna has. And 50 of them the jivas can develop by proper practice of Krishna consciousness to a very, 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 very small degree. But the jiva is tiny, very limited, so can develop up to a certain small extent, and only that extent that jiva can exercise or display or utilize those qualities. That's the context in which it is said. Next question: what is a prayer we can offer to Lord Krishna to forgive our offense we commit daily, knowingly or unknowingly? Actually, the best prayer to Lord Krishna to forgive our offense, mistakes or whatever, is to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is the best prayer, the topmost prayer, the most effective prayer. So chant Hare Krishna. In the Shastra it said any mistakes committed simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is freed from that sinful reaction, or freed from the absorbed from the mistake. Next question. Some people earn material things very easily even after indulging into all illicit activities, and some people struggle a lot even after following strict discipline. Why is it so? This is based on their past karma. People who have good karma, even if they seemingly are doing some sinful activities, their good karma will give them their result. But the result of the sinful activity they may not suffer in this life or immediately, and they will suffer later on if they don't atone for it, or if they don't perform devotional service to become purified of the reactions. They have to suffer later. So this time factor is there, and the people who suffer in spite of following certain scriptural directions and perform pious activities are those people who are suffering according to the kala, their own sinful activities in the past, and now what they are doing in future they will not have to suffer, but they will have enjoyment or material, better material facilities for living a peaceful life like that, a sattvic life like that. Last question before I close. In Bhagavad Gita 16.17, Srila Prabhupada explains about demoniac persons following avidhi-purvakam paths. In today's world, we see so many gurus who have large following. What will be the future and next life for such persons? Now, those who are misled and they follow wrong path, they definitely will have to suffer the activities which they do wrong, and the wrong path will lead them to suffering, definitely. So they cannot be saved from suffering in future except by devotees preaching Krishna consciousness. That's the only way they can be saved. So therefore it is so important for devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness to preach also to others, especially those who are misled, who are interested in spiritual life but are misled by gurus who are not bona fide spiritual masters. So we have to preach to all categories of people to help them come out of the wrong path. We have to help them out. So we have to preach. I'll stop here. The remaining questions I'll answer the next session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.